Good afternoon, club. You think, I'm halfway there. You think we kind of get that down. Good afternoon, club. Welcome. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Oakland. Oh my gosh, you guys, where did you put your oars from your boats to get here? That I applaud all of you for coming out in this horrific weather. It must mean that we have a magnificent speaker. And that we have a lot of fantastic past presidents here. All right. Shh. Welcome to the Oakland Rotary Club. We are the third oldest Rotary Club, 116 years old, out of 42,000 Rotary clubs around the world in over 300 countries. Really? We welcome you, and we are not going to have enough time to welcome all of the guests. We have lots of guests today. So I'm going to first say hello to our wonderful people on Zoom. And I saw Blaze, nice to see you, and Pam, and Teresa, and Pat. Is that Alex Kafka? Hi, Alex, and Chet, Jenny Ring. And I saw Iris Brody Lopez, past Presidente. We miss you. Anyway, thank you. Welcome, everybody on Zoom. If I didn't catch you, it's because I can't see. Greg Knight, nice to see you. And yes, you do have a blind president. Okay. For our thought for the day, I am going to welcome Jenny Ring on the Zoom to give us a thought for the day and to celebrate the African American Month. Jenny.
Excellent. Good afternoon, Rotarians, and thank you, President Shannon, for the special invite to give the thought for today. And in honor of Black History Month, or as some of us say, it is Black History every day of the year. I have two quotes regarding history, and then Shannon has given me the opportunity to pitch a Hot Squad volunteer event coming up this Saturday and the following Saturday. So first of all, the thought for the day. History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived. However, if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Maya Angelou.
Awesome. One more. Go ahead.
Second quote, we learn from history that we don't learn from history. Desmond Tutu. And the pitch for volunteerism, speaking of South Africa, is helping and assisting the Committee on South African Solidarity based out of Berkeley, who is currently requesting a cash grant and to be determined. But in the meantime, we may still help this organization pack school supplies for children in schools connected to two Rotary clubs in Durban, South Africa. And we specifically will be packing boxes from teachers who have submitted preferences for the needs of their classroom. These would be backpacks, all kinds of school supplies, certain products the kids might need just for their day-to-day. And this is done through this group starting in their office in in Berkeley, and then heading over to the Oakland facility where they store all of their supplies. If anyone is interested, please reach out to me, and I will make sure that you have my email address and phone number, and or Shannon, if you'd like to volunteer this Saturday, 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day, everyone.
Jenny, thank you so much. So for those of you that might have had our PA system is so fabulous, who might have had trouble hearing that, we will send an email out for a volunteer opportunity on Saturday. I also want to thank the people that read to kids in the Oakland schools this last weekend. We had David Stein, Carrie Hamill, Casey Farmer, new Rotarian, Victor Uno, Coach Bill Palmer, John Holmgren. Anybody else read to kids in the Oakland schools this last weekend? And Ruth, of course, Ruth Stroop. So we had a great showing. Oakland Rotary is the army that gets to work. So the Hot Squad will have some more opportunities for everybody as we go. you all took a lot of effort to get here as guests. I'd like you to stand up and be recognized, please, and a warm Oakland Rotary welcome to all the guests today. Thank you so much. I do believe that the guests are yours, Mr. Bobbitt. So thank you for bringing them out. Wonderful. All right, with that, this is a celebration of President's Day, and we welcome back our past presidents from our Oakland Rotary Club. We've been doing this for 116 years. So a lot of our Rotarian presidents are still members and active in our club. So we have a program for them. I would like to take a special moment of silence for our friend Ted Normart. We did have a president pass over the last year. We already gave him a moment, but since we're together, I'm going to have another moment of silence. Roger is here, who is Ted's best friend. So I'd like to have a special moment for Ted. Thank you. I joined this club when Ted was president. And he was special. He was former mayor of Piedmont, real estate developer in town, and always had humor and love for everyone and time to do and be for everyone. When I was elected president-elect, there was this bag in the office, and it was a beautiful gift bag, and it had personally engraved stationery with my name on it with the Rotary emblem. And I just fell to tears because Ted was so thoughtful. It still gives me goosebumps. So Ted, we love you, man. We wish you were here. So with that, I also wanted to acknowledge Jerry Wendt is still with us, but Jerry's a past president. He couldn't be with us today. He is in memory care, and anybody that wants to reach out to anybody who's not here, part of community is gathering and reaching out. Phone calls, cards, phone calls. We forget their phone calls. Some of these people that are ill or can't remember where the phone is, they will pick up their phone. So let's care for our community. So with that, I'd like to introduce immediate past president, Tom Lamone, and before Tom was Mary Jiang, to have a special program in honor of our past presidents.
Thank you, President Shannon. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to stand before you today as we recognize the incredible leaders who have guided our club over the past 50 years. Today, we celebrate their time in office and the legacy they have built that continue to shape our club and our community. Leadership in Oakland Rotary is no small task. Each of our presidents took the helm, bringing their unique vision, energy, and dedication to our mission of service above self. They balanced tradition with innovation, challenged us to aim higher, and strengthened the bonds of friendship that make this club so special. We asked our past presidents to reflect on what they are proud of during their term and how serving as president impacted their lives professionally or personally. We also asked them to share some traditions that they started. And with limited time, we'll just share a little piece of what they shared. Our first one is Rich Williams. Rich, where are you? All right, Rich. So Rich introduced the Brown Bag Lunch Program. This allowed a group of Rotarians to visit a fellow member's workplace for a more personal and insightful experience. The program thrived for years until the pandemic. But here's the good news. We're bringing it back. Right, Shannon? Yeah. All right, David Douglas. Where are you, David? All right. David Douglas revived one of Rotary's founding principles, business networking. After decades of hesitation around promoting businesses within the club, he reintroduced the practice, reinforcing connections and professional growth among members. His leadership also brought in an impressive number of new members. And go Gauchos, right? All right. David Stein implemented a new tradition. Where are you, Dave? All right. Having newly inducted members welcomed at the back of the room after each meeting. He also spearheaded a capital campaign that raised over $1 million for our Oakland Rotary Endowment. Lorna Padilla Marcus. Lorna gave us cocktails with the president. One of my favorite traditions that has fostered stronger bonds within our club and continues to be others' favorites as well. Michael Bruck. All right. Michael Bruck led the search to replace our long-term 25-year executive director, ensuring a smooth transition. He also made our lunch meetings even more engaging with creative activities like Halloween pumpkin carving and the holiday cookie exchange, which we continue to do. Gudrun Dibdahl. All right. Gudrun, one of her most cherished contributions was launching Hikes with the President, a tradition that continues to bring members together outside of club meetings. And then I try to bring renewed energy to our ballroom following the pandemic, while also taking our club to monthly offsite meetings, giving members the opportunity to connect while visiting some of Oakland's most iconic landmarks and institutions. Chuck Schwind. Chuck, are you out here? Oh, okay. Chuck established the Education Support Committee, which has evolved over the years, but remains a vital part of our club's work in supporting Oakland schools. Jack McAvoy. All right. Under Jack's leadership, he established the HOPE program, the mentoring program, and fully funded the program, and also launched a special program called Courageous Citizens, which recognized 6 remarkable individuals selected by the DA, police chief, and fire chief. This event even led the evening news. Jack also recruited 68 new members in his year. Charlie Adams. I didn't see Charlie. All right. Charlie led the theme Together We Can. He reignited the club's business fair, the first in over 30 years, and had the distinct honor of awarding the $1 million to our college scholarship program, leaving a lasting impact. Charlie was also our first African-American club president. Marlo Seligman expanded our Cerrone Lena Scholarship Program by adding 4 more scholarships. How? Through a creative fundraiser, a win a Mercedes raffle, and the lucky winner was, well, that's right. As the 99th president, Iris Brody Lopez played a crucial role in preparing for our centennial year. She embraced the challenge of keeping new members engaged and took pride in mentoring our next president, Ed Jelen. Ed Jelen, our 100th president. Where are you, Ed? All right. Ed worked closely with our centennial chair, Jack McAvoy, to make it a year to remember. He successfully secured numerous Rotary awards and hosted Rotary International's president during our centennial year. John Gresley. Where are you, John? All right. John is proud to have inducted members who remain strong leaders in our club, including Stephanie Cosenza, Karen Friedman, Steve Nichols, and our 26-27 president, Merlin Edwards. All right, Merlin. Robert Kidd's presidency embraced a theme of rowing and believed in the power of working together in unison. Under his leadership, he encouraged new members to get involved quickly, take on leadership roles, ensuring they felt connected and engaged from the start. John Protopappas, where's John? John Protopappas was dedicated to elevating our club with a strong focus on membership, growth, and engagement. He achieved a remarkable milestone, inducting, was it 72? 72 new members, the highest number ever in a single presidency. Linda Bosenecker celebrated 30 years of women in Rotary. She featured Sylvia Whitlock, the first woman ever inducted into Rotary. She also led a City Hall luncheon featuring 3 powerful women, the mayor, city administrator, and police chief. Under her leadership, the club adopted a 3-year strategic plan and fundraising plan and welcomed 52 new members. Thank you, Linda. Sean Marks was instrumental in attracting 56 new members and launching Leaders in Motion, a program designed to recruit younger Rotarians, resulting in 24 new young professionals joining the club. He also promoted the meetings as the best lunch in town. Dudley Thompson takes great pride in founding. All right, Dudley, where are you? All right. Takes great pride in founding the Environmental Committee, creating a lasting impact on our club's commitment to sustainability and stewardship. And Mary will finish.
Well, thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna have to rush this through, she said. Okay, Peter Sheriff, he said, when the world changed during COVID-19, we were fortunate to have Dr. Peter Sheriff as our president. He quickly formed a committee to assess risk, guided club with best practice, and converted our meeting to Zoom before it became a necessity. Then Seth Butler, yeah. He took on the immense challenge of keeping the club energized during a fully virtual year. He not only sustained engagement via Zoom, but also achieved a record-breaking TRF fundraising year with 95% participation. Now, Roger Huddlestone is one of the youngest president and known as Boy Wonder. He described his presidency as the most fulfilling experience of his life, aside from raising children. He also introduced the 5 minutes of fellowship, a cherished club tradition. Ken Richardson is here. Credit his time as president for improving his time management skill and touching him great leadership and listening to others and advancing vision and the need of those being led. Mary Rutzer, you here? Yeah. Her presidency expanded her world, literally. She built relationships with Rotarians across the globe through Rotary Environment, International Conferences, and Service Project. Linda Chu, yeah, she's president, was once a lifetime opportunity to lead a dedicated group of volunteers making real impact in a community. And last but not least, yours truly, let the club help me to redefine my public speaking and time management skill, which have benefited me both personally and professionally. More importantly, deepen my connection with fellow club members. Furthermore, I have loved coordinating our annual Lunar New Year dinner for the past 10 years, a tradition that continues tonight. In conclusion, these past presidents have shaped our club into an international recognized powerhouse of service, connection, and leadership. To all past presidents, thank you for your vision, dedication, and lasting impact. Let's give them all a well-rounded applause.
Wow. It's good to be reminded about how amazing the people in Rotary are, whether they're presidents or not. It took me 36 years to be president of this club. And past president, they say, is the best job. I see a bell ringer. Now, for all of you that are not knowing what a bell ringer is it's a generous contribution of $100 to the Oakland Rotary Endowment. David Stein.
Just like to ring it for all the great past presidents. Fantastic. Here you go.
I'd like to ring the bell for all of my mentors, the past presidents.
Thank you, Marlon. Joe Gralka.
I'll do the same.
Councilwoman. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your contributions to the Rotary Foundation. All right. I just want to say that having gone through a year of pre-term in this current year, and I will be serving a year after this to serve this community, I am in awe. It's a big job. It's a wonderful job. And it's a lot of fun. And thank you all. Don't ever think we don't appreciate it. The year of presidency is a lot. And thank you so much for all you're doing. With that, I'd like to add to this wonderful club some new members. In order to prosper in this town, we as a club are able to do more than most Rotary clubs. Most Rotary clubs are average under 40 people. And we have 250 by the time we end my year. So it's important that we add new members, and we have some amazing new members to bring on. So I'd like to invite Keith Urarty to the stage, and we have a pretty special new member. Keith.
President Shannon, fellow Rotarians and guests, today I have the pleasure of introducing Alameda County Sheriff Yesenia Sanchez as our newest Oakland Rotarian. Sheriff Sanchez was born in Hayward, and at the age of 13, she and her parents' siblings moved to Patterson, California. She learned to have a strong work ethic and about the struggles of life at an early age. At 14, her parents divorced. She began working 3 jobs to help her mom make ends meet. Yesenia graduated from Patterson High School. As an adult, she returned to Hayward. Yesenia lived out of her car because she could not afford the housing. Yesenia began her 27-year career in the Alameda County Sheriff Department as a sheriff's technician. She became a deputy sheriff in 2002 and worked her way up through the ranks. Then, in January of 2023, Yesenia was elected the first woman and first Latina sheriff of Alameda County. Yeah. But President Shannon, fellow Rotarians and guests, please welcome our Alameda County Sheriff Yesenia Sanchez as our newest Rotarian.
Yesenia. Did I say that correctly? In Rotary, we kind of sometimes strip the titles. And so it might be fun to be called Yesenia instead of sheriff in our special place. This is your blue badge. I mean, your red badge. You get a blue badge after you come to a few meetings, come to a couple of events. And here's your special pin that's going to complement that special sheriff's pin that you have. And we have a bag full of goodies. So we have a roster of all of your new besties. We have a 4-way test, which talks about our motto about the truth being beneficial to all. It's all in here. It's the truth. Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? This is and there's a book in here of the first 100 years of our club written by one of our own Rotarians, Linda Hamilton. And you will love the Oakland history in this book. So you might want to borrow it. So anyway, thank you and welcome. Thank you so much. Very much. So we have another new member. You were the newest member, but you are no longer the newest member. We have Ruth Stroop to welcome now the newest member of Oakland Rotary. Ruth.
President Shannon, fellow Rotarians, it is my pleasure to introduce my old friend Bob Lee, who I met in 1993 when I was just a young person working at Charles Schwab. Through the years and the magic of LinkedIn, we've stayed in touch. When Bob started his business locally as a retired person, he just wanted to do more. So like all of our retired Rotarians, he's very busy now as a local business owner owning CMIT. A couple of facts to know about Bob. Bob has his encyclopedic knowledge of restaurants, both locally and abroad. So those of you who are foodies might want to join him. And in college, he almost dropped out to play blackjack. So he's got game, and I'm so glad to welcome Bob Lee to our club.
Welcome, Bob. So we have your bag. I'm not going to describe everything, but here's your special bag. And welcome to Rotary. So what's going to happen next is what's happening to Nick. Oh, you're here. I saw you out there. So Nick is here. He's going to give his 3-minute introduction. So after you're in the club for a little bit and get to know us, then you get to have a shameless promotion about how much you love restaurants, or it could be career if you really want to, but it could be other information that will help engage your friendships that might last your whole life. Welcome to the club. All right, we have this blue badge. Come on up, sir. For those of you in the club who still are sporting a red badge, anybody have a red badge? Stephanie, do you have a red badge? What the heck? Any other red badgers out there? Stand up, red badgers. Oh my gosh. You've probably been contacted. Don't wait for me to call. Just give me a date so you can do this. All right? Is that clear? Okay. Nick,
Yes.
it's so wonderful to see you. You know, Rotary is not an attendance mandatory thing. You can do things outside of this room, and most of our Rotarians are doing things outside of lunch. And when we get them in the ballroom, it's very special. And so we want you to know how much you're appreciated and loved, even though we don't see you here very much. And we want to see you out in the field doing work for the community, which you do anyway, because it sells out all the time. I can't even. Okay, and you have 3 minutes because I'm going to stand up.
Don't take my time.
I'm not. It's starting right now, and then I'm going to stand up and go like this.
Nick
Right?
talk, Nick. Let's go. Nick talk.
President Shannon, thank you. Past presidents, Rotarians. So this is my lightning fast round of who I am. I was born in India in 1972 and moved to the United States. This is me when I had hair in 1979. Took a stop in Hawaii before I landed in New York City. Went to school in New York City, was educated at Vassar College, and then moved out here to the Bay Area 28 years ago to go to Cal, to go to business school at Cal. Proudly became a citizen in 1993. It was a bit of effort, but really proud to have that opportunity. And this is me with my kids at the Oakland Zoo. So I am the CEO of the Oakland Zoo, been there for 19 years, but this is me with my kids before I joined the zoo. Really proud to see them there. And I had to have a second slide of them having fun. They're now 19 and 21 and moved out. But we still have I found my job at the zoo through Helen at Village Market. I handed her my resume, said, I'm looking for a job. 3 hours later, I got a call from the zoo. That was my introduction to the zoo. So Helen at Terrace Market, thank you. Really incredible. And so the journey began in 2006 at the Oakland Zoo. I know you've all been there. You've seen this incredible gondola and this zoo. Very proud of it. I'm deeply proud of the community partnerships that we build. This zoo is built from the community. It is of the community. And so these are just some of the partners that we have, from wildlife agencies to recently the Oakland Ballers and others. But for me, it extends beyond. So going to Africa in 2019, I'm leading a trip to Kenya in October of this year to our conservation partners. I'm really proud of that and what the zoo means and how we're protecting wildlife. So this is an important. I was down in Guatemala at one of the wildlife centers, the largest illegal wildlife center in Guatemala called Arcus. We do a lot of protection of species here, but we work with a number of partners. And then I recently had an opportunity. There's a World Association of Zoos and Aquariums. Those committed leaders around the world. I had an opportunity to go to Australia to be with world leaders to talk about the challenges and the conservation challenges that zoos have and how we need to protect. Part of my grit, more of a personal story. I was in a hijacking back in 1986. When we talk about grit and resilience, this is part of what made me who I am today. A deep story. You can go Google it if you want, but that was part of it. But there are other fun parts of my grit and resilience. I'm a bike rider. So I biked the entire Bay back in 2021, almost 150 miles, took me about 11 hours. And then, as President Shannon knows, I was on Checklee's Bay Area last year. I love food. I promoted Town Fair at the Oakland Museum. If you haven't been, you have to go. Chef Michelle McQueen is absolutely phenomenal. And then an opportunity to visit with Dr. Jane Goodall, who came to the zoo, and to show her our proud Oakland Zoo and all the work that we do as she marches around the world spreading opportunity. So with that, I want to say thank you. Hopefully that was quicker than 3 minutes. I'm proud to be here and be a blue badge member. That's my red one. Oh, there you go. You're gonna put them.
Wow. I was in Turkey in 1986 and I wasn't allowed to fly to Greece because of that hijacking. You were on the plane? Are you kidding? I was in the same geography. That was a scary time. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yes. Thank you.
So wouldn't you like to get to know this Rotarian better? right? 3-minute introductions. My phone should be ringing right now about wanting to get up here and introducing yourself to the club. All right, so we are exactly on time as usual. I want to make sure that people keep in touch with Eventbrite. We have some amazing things coming. Next week is Oscars. If you want to dress up, I'm gonna. The week after that, we're going to be doing an offsite at the African American Library and Museum. Please, guests are welcome. We're going to have fun. And with that, it is exactly time. Did I forget anything? My friend. Okay. Okay, we're good. Okay, keep going. Okay. All right. With that, Seth Budner, another past president of note. Welcome and tell us about our great speaker.
Thank you, President Shannon. Past presidents, all the past presidents that we have in here, and Rotary members. Gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, a gentleman by the name of Ray Bobbitt. Ray Bobbitt is the founder and managing member of the AASEG, African American Sports and Entertainment Group. He also serves as president and sole owner of Nasufra Corporation, a facility management and urban consulting company that he founded 22 years ago right here in Oakland. He's a community leader. Mr. Bobbitt has served as founder and co-founder, advisory board member of several community boards, Oakland Parks and Recs Commission, East Bay Youth Football League, a lot of different organizations that he had. But probably most importantly, Mr. Bobbitt is also a decorated veteran of Desert Storm as the U.S. Marine from the U.S. Marine Corps. Ray is here to talk to us today about a unique position that he has found himself in. He worked very hard to get there. When the sports teams vacated the Coliseum, all of our sports teams have vacated it. And when they did, there was no need to have the city and the county running a sports organization. And we needed to redevelop that area. And he was successful in bringing it to private hands for the development of the Coliseum area. And so with that, Ray, why don't you come up and tell us how you did that?
So first of all, I just wanted to thank you for having me here today. Seth, I appreciate the invitation. Very, very honored to be here. This is obviously a storied organization in Oakland's history with a tremendous amount of people who have a serious impact on this city. I think that I just wanted to kind of walk through the process of the Coliseum development. I think that it's a very, very complex process. It has been something that has been a very, very complicated journey. And I'll start by saying that it could not have been done without a lot of people, a lot of teammates, a lot of people, community really played a huge role in this process. So me being born and raised here in Oakland, I was born at Kaiser Hospital, product of Oakland Public Schools. Very, very grateful to be here. People have asked, recently, what are you guys doing at the Coliseum? Like, what are you trying to do here? How do you think you're going to be able to pull that off? One person just said to me recently, that's like trying to climb Mount Everest backwards with no oxygen. And I said, thank you. I said, thank you for the encouragement. But I think that the most important part of the process is the people who have been assembled to work on this project are all people who have either Oakland natives or they're deeply rooted in Oakland. And I think Oakland is at a unique crossroads right now at this moment where it's very, very clear that we have to make some changes and we have to make sure that we take this city in a direction that's going to be beneficial for the years to come. I think the great thing about Oakland is it's always landed on its feet, and it's a resilient city that is known all over the world for its resiliency. And so there's no question that that will return, and that same push will be what gets us to the finish line with respect to us as a city and the evolution as a city. So one of the things that I just wanted to do was just kind of walk everybody through the process that we went through. And not necessarily, I'll give the story afterwards of how we got here, but there's so much confusion about this project at times. It's a highly publicized project. It's a project that, because it was the home of three of the most iconic sports teams that ever existed on the planet, and now they're gone. And it's the largest bit of public land in the city, in an urban center. When approaching this situation, we realized that this is also the most developable site in the country. It is unheard of in an urban center to have BART, Amtrak, AC Transit turnaround, airport connector, and 2 exits off of our main freeway all intersect at one point. It's almost amazing. So with respect to that, when you look at it from that standpoint and that vantage point, other urban centers, it takes years to do that and to put that together. It was designed through the Coliseum specific plan, which was designed for 3 teams, 2 teams, 1 teams, or no teams. And I don't think anybody during that process ever imagined that there would be no teams. But here we are, but we also are in a position where we will rebuild that process. So in just kind of stepping through this, the first step was the city. And that was the process of getting the ENA, just to get to the point where we could negotiate with the city about the site. That was the first step. We met with about 50 community organizations before we even submitted a proposal to the city. So we really depended on community support to translate into the currency that we needed to get selected. We were in a bidding process with initially 4 groups, and it came down to 2 groups. It was ourselves and the group led by Dave Stewart. And I think that we ended up getting selected unanimously by the council. And I think part of that was because of the level of community support that we had and all the work that we put in. So getting to the ENA was tough. The second thing we had to do is then, just sort of unbeknown to us, it was going to take about a year to negotiate the ENA. Because at that time, the A's had already purchased or began the process of purchasing half of the county's half of the Coliseum site. And so that made it so that the site was an undivided interest where there was no ownership agreement. And so the governing entity was the Joint Powers Authority. And so you have 2 municipal bodies who don't typically get along very well, trying to run a facility. And so when the process occurred in which the A's decided to buy the county's half, when we got into the ENA, we realized that we had to somehow either do a cooperation agreement with them, or we had to figure out a way to get their half. And so for a year, we negotiated and we worked together. We tried to do everything we could to unlock that part of the process. The A's at the time were working on Howard Terminal, and they were not sure what they were going to do with the Coliseum at the time. And so we continued to pursue them. We made them offers, but they just didn't know what path they were going to take as a ball club at that time. Ultimately, they ended up deciding not to pursue Howard Terminal and not to remain in Oakland. And as a Oakland native and a lifelong A's fan, it was very painful. It was very difficult to even continue to engage to some degree, but we knew that we had to transact with them. And so we they were going through a process in which they were trying to renegotiate a short-term lease. And so we worked together with them to try and get a acquisition agreement because they did decide that they were not going to stay. And that sort of opened up the opportunity for us to work with them on the county's half. So with that development, we quickly were told by the city that they would like to see us transition from a E&A to a purchase and sell agreement to purchase the city's half. And in that process, it became very complicated and very political because the city was facing a pretty significant crisis with respect to its budget. And somehow we were sort of identified within the process of our negotiations to be a part of that. And so that was very tough for us. Nonetheless, we continued to kind of move through it. And so once we actually completed our negotiation with the athletics to do a acquisition agreement for the county's interest, we thought that the county process would be very easy. We thought it would be more administrative. We were surprised to understand that that was not the case. What ended up happening at that point is we were told and directed to do a few things. First thing that we had to do is we had to go through the steps of making sure that the Communities for a Better Environment legal action that was taken against the county and the A's for not following the Surplus Lands Act had the ability to be dismissed. The second thing that we had to negotiate with that organization, and that took about 37 meetings, literally. The thing that we had to do after that is we had to then negotiate with the Joint Powers Authority to be in a position to defease the bonds earlier so that our capital partners would be willing to commit and stay committed. And what I mean bonds is there was bonds taken out on both the Coliseum Stadium and the arena to upgrade them for the Raiders return in '95 and for the arena upgrade for the Warriors. So those bonds just got paid off in February for the stadium, and then their arena bonds are outstanding until next March. So we had our purchase and sale agreement in place with the city, but anybody going back to the beginning of the story, if you don't have both sides, then it's almost impossible to do anything with it. And so it's really difficult. So you have your capital partners and they're wondering, where are we going to go from here? Are you going to get these approvals? So once we finished our negotiations with the CBE, we finished our negotiations with the JPA, they actually approved early bond defeasance. So we were in a position to be able to work through that. And I think I have a county slide as well, just to kind of talk through that. So if you could just put that, I just want to make sure I don't miss anything in that process. Okay. So the Joint Powers Authority was step 3, and I'm going to go to step 4. So the Surplus Lands Act, as we talked about, was really critical. When we completed our negotiations with Communities for a Better Environment to allow for the legal action to be dismissed, they initially did it without prejudice. And so the A's needed it to be with prejudice, and so did the county. So we had to go back and negotiate that process again. So that brought us to step 5, which was getting the assignment from the county of Alameda. The A's had actually been in escrow with the county to purchase their 50% interest, but they hadn't closed escrow yet because the bonds were still undefeased. So they've paid all the money, and within their agreement, they had a right to assign the deal. So that's what we needed for the county to approve. And the only way that you can get the final half of the site would be if the county approved the assignment. So we had to go back to the county and we had to get a stay on the litigation. And in that process, we had to negotiate with the county, and that took a pretty significant amount of time. And so this was all happening at a time where these pieces are moving and we're getting asked by the public and by the community, like, you know, where's the money? And, you know, how are you going to be able to make this happen? We've heard that this is not going to happen. We heard that this is going to happen. So much confusion. We've heard that the city needs this money for their budget to balance. All these different scenarios that we had to sort of deal with. We could only, you know, talk about a limited amount, because the two items that are limited and restricted in communication with a municipality are negotiations of litigation and negotiations of real estate transactions. So those are closed session items that we really couldn't talk about to the public very much. So it was very helpful for us to get through all these steps. And it really meant a lot for us to be steadfast and to move forward with this process. And so that is a very, very short version of a very, very, very long and complex process. And, you know, people have asked, you know, why would you do this? Like, what's the motivation? Like, why are you continuing to do this? And I think that what it came down to was we have to revitalize East Oakland, because it became less about sports teams, which is the original, one of the things that we did originally and was one of our priorities. But it became more about revitalizing East Oakland and about creating a circumstance in which this site could be a vehicle to revitalize East Oakland. And somebody who grew up 3 blocks from the Coliseum, I had always had an economic relationship with the site. My brother and sisters both sold concessions. My brother ended up through Oakland Police Academy, became a patrol chief in Fremont, captain. My sister was the head of attorney recruiting for Cooley. And we all went through and utilized the Coliseum as a vehicle, much like many people in our community did. And it was an economic opportunity. Me as an entrepreneur of the family, I sold things around the Coliseum. So I was the kid that sold you the water on a hot day or umbrella on a rainy day like this. So the point is that the District 6 and 7, between those two areas, there's about, you know, I think 2,000 full-time jobs in a district of that, 2 districts combined, which means that most of them are at the port and at the Coliseum, airport and at the Coliseum. So that means that the people that live there, the high majority of them have to actually commute out of the community to get to work. And so this opportunity that we have to create, just using the metrics of development, we have an opportunity to create 20, 40,000 jobs at that site. I mean, and I think that we would all agree that 2 of the primary elements of public safety are education and employment. And if we can bring education and employment to this part of Oakland at a high level and utilize this vehicle to train our community, to train community people, to get people prepared to come into this process, we're going to be doing something that's going to be phenomenal. And once that site gets developed and moves in that direction, it will certainly position itself to expand through the rest of the city. And so we are very, very grateful to be in this position. We were happy to get unanimous votes throughout this entire process. The most recent unanimous vote we got was from the County of Alameda. We're very grateful. and they did approve the assignment. But we do have to finish some pieces to it. We had to work on a release for environmental, which is critical. Thankfully, it's been the same use for 57 years. So in the phase 2 and phase 1s, we don't see anything complex, but it's just been a very, very long process. The other piece that I always get questions about is, what is the payment schedule? How does that work? How will that affect the budget? So currently the way it's working is that our close of escrow is designed to be May 30th with the city, and or June 30th with the county, which would be before the end of the fiscal year for the city. So we're working very hard to accomplish that. Loop Capital is our capital partner. They've been our capital partner since the beginning of this process, and it's been pretty amazing to have them here. The great thing about them is, we spoke at the structures event that San Francisco Business Times put on. And the panel before us talked about how Oakland had a red line around it with respect to capital. And that, in California, there was not a lot of capital was fleeing to some degree in Oakland and Alameda County. So our capital partner has been fully committed to this process since the beginning. And we're very grateful that they've hung in there. And so, we've had to go through the narrative of the most dangerous 1 mile by 1 mile of Hagenberger. They made it a national story when the Denny's that nobody's probably been to since 1922 left. So that anything became a national story around the site. And so we were just in a position where our capital partner happened to be from Chicago. So headlines about, public safety and headlines about, complications with political processes is not new to that particular city. And so we've been very grateful from that perspective. We believe that we'll be able to, complete this process. And again, this could not have been done. There's a tremendous amount of people who have worked really hard to make this happen. It's a large team of people. As me as one of the co-founding members of the process and the organization, it's just been a blessing and a gift to be able to be back in my community I grew up with, and being here today with Seth. And I know that he was very revered in CalPAC, which I was the president of at one point, and I was preceded by Jeffrey Pete and Dorothy King from Everett and Jones, and I was president of Friends of Oakland Park and Recreation. I think Dave Stein was also a president. I think Ann Waddell and others kind of helped me through that process, and 2 terms on Park and Rec Commission with Ann Waddell and Bill Patterson supporting me. So just wanted to say thank you very much for this process, and thank you very much for doing this.
We've got a little time for a couple of questions, so Seth is going to help.
Questions?
Yeah, and I want to point out something.
Thank you.
Seth, you're already going to start talking? No. Just
Questions?
you have some questions, but I'm sorry to say it's only the members of the club are asking questions for today. Just want to let you know.
Okay.
Ray, congratulations on your success so far. You alluded for a hot minute to the environmental issues. Could you talk a little bit more about the environmental issues and how you guys plan on handling that?
Yes, we are in a position where we've gotten a phase 1 and a phase 2, and I don't want to go too far, but the A's have been actually very helpful. I don't want to get booed saying that, but the A's have actually helped us a lot. They went through the process of buying the county's half, so their due diligence was very, very helpful and have been very helpful. So.
Thank you. Great talk. Is it me? Okay. My question is, what do you see being built there?
So that is the question of the year. Yeah, that's a great question. I think that what we're hoping to have is it's going to be a completely mixed use process. You see it, it's kind of a sports and entertainment tourism piece. You see it at Mission Bay. You see it in Inglewood. It's a process in which you have stadiums and arenas that drive the process of economics. The arena, believe it or not, when the Warriors left, getting back those 42 dates made it it's in the top 10 of all of ASM's 350 arenas in the country. So that arena is golden. When you think about the 81 baseball games, the 42 basketball games, and the 8 to 12 football games over the years, the arena shows and concerts quadruple that. So the people come and are entertained at the arena 4 times more than the actual Coliseum Stadium. So the arena is going to be a center point of any process.
I have another question. Gary has a question.
Hey, Ray, thank you so much for your presentation today. I just wanted to let you know the USTA is here. So hopefully at some point, if you haven't met with them, that would be helpful.
Sure.
My question is, what's the status of the lawsuit between you and AASEG and the founders?
So we have 3 litigations that we have to work on. Communities for a Better Environment, we have a dismissal and a settlement in place on that one. There could be potentially a litigation for a group that would like to do more temporary housing there for the unhoused. And so we're trying to help find a different location because we're going to need both the Malibu site and the home base site for egress ingress. And so we're hoping that we can avoid that litigation. We're very, very hopeful that we can, because when you go into a building like this, the occupancy of the building is determined not necessarily by how big the building is. It's the exits and entrances. So we need an entrance to the site from Hegenberger. We have to have that. So it's going to be very important for us in order to create as much density as possible. And so that piece is important. As far as the internal member disputes that we've had, that is being, dealt with through a ruling in which arbitration was directed. And so just like with any member dispute, that's just kind of how that has to be resolved. So, but hopefully all of the litigation, the legal actions that project to this magnitude.
Time frame and get things moving so we can build Oakland back again.
Well, this is going to be a 5 to 10 year, to get ground broken. We think we can accomplish that within like a few years. We really do feel like that's a 2 to 3 year process for horizontal. And we also feel like once we get that done, the site planning, because this authorization allows us to move into a site planning process. Before, when the A's owned half and the city owned half, we couldn't even pull a planning permit. Like you just couldn't do it. So we believe that this will be a generational project. So take probably about, in phases, anywhere from 3 to 10 years. But it will go in phases. And the first phase will be surrounding the arena, with the arena as the focal point.
Never give a date. Being a woman in construction, it takes 7 years to plan a hospital, let alone build one. So we appreciate your time. Our appreciation for speakers is to make a donation to the Rotary International Foundation to help support wiping out the polio around the world. And we've raised hundreds of millions of dollars, and we are this close to wiping out polio no matter what. Anyway, thank you very, very much. If there's any chance you can stay a little bit, I think people might want to take their picture in front of the selfie wall and post it that you were at the Oakland Rotary Club when you had this great speaker. Thank you for all you've done for this town.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, with that, we have another great program next week, and CJ's going to tell us about it.
Thank you, President Shannon. So, an immigrant architect, a trans gangster, a folk music icon, the Pope. Now, they won't be here next week, but they might be discussed as we consider the upcoming Oscars with Rotary favorite Gary Meyer, the founder of Landmark Theaters and co-director of the famed Telluride Film Festival. He'll be asking your opinions as well, so don't miss it. Thanks.
Thank you. So if you want to dress up next week for the Oscars, join me. I'm going to have some fun. I want to thank all of you for Ruth, thank you for such a wonderful meal that you prepared for us. Thank you for coming out in the rain. Thank you for supporting our club, and past presidents. Thank you for your service. And this meeting is, don't forget, go out and make, Anna Marie, go out and make some magic. And we have 2 new Rotarians. When have you ever shaken the hand of the Alameda Sheriff without being in trouble? Please go meet our new Rotarians, Bob Lee at the back of the room, and this meeting is adjourned.